Hello, everyone, and welcome to part two of the Royal Nugget podcast. Last couple of weeks ago, when we had Mr. Carmichael with us, and he gave us all that great information about, insurance and everything. And he and I was doing some talking afterwards, and we said while we were online about part two that he's going to come back and give some more wonderful information about health insurance and life insurance. And there was some more to the discussion that he and I had that I definitely want to share with everyone today. But we're going to still look beyond the premiums and mastering the risk and the security. So we are thankful that we were able to get Mr. Carmichael to come back today and just continue this conversation. So make sure that you are dropping your questions and comments into the chat so we all can be able to engage together during this conversation. So, Rashad Carmichael, thank you so much for coming back again this week for another episode of the Royal Nugget. And we appreciate you taking out the time today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, one of the things, like we had talked about, I want to just kind of jump into it, is about the insurance agent. And you mentioned some things about, insurance agents when we talked online, but then we had a further discussion about that when we were offline. And from a perspective of, I would say, as a federal employee, because that's the only perspective I know really well, we didn't have individual insurance agents that we could just pick up the phone and talk to. The people in the federal government normally would either call their HR office and talk to someone who probably couldn't tell them anything specific about, their insurance besides seeing what plan they might be enrolled in, the type of coverage that they have based on what's on the Office of Personnel, website, Office of Personnel Management's website, OPM, or referring them to the insurance company directly where they would talk to a representative and may be able to get more information, better information than they can from the HR office. But you were kind of alluding to, why wouldn't someone contact or have an insurance agent? So could you just give us like what are the benefits of having an individual insurance agent that we could talk to?
Well, there's many benefits, and I like to call it something different. Just to be clear, not an insurance agent, but an insurance advocate. Um, an insurance advocate, most people might say an insurance broker, but what I do is I present insurance options as a licensed insurance agent. I take it a little step further though. The average agent across the United States, they are usually captive. They usually have maybe one, two, I'll give them six different company relationships. Companies meaning carriers. I won't name any carriers, but I have a lot of them that span across the nation and internationally. And when you're talking about the average typical agent that maybe you're used to, and like you said, sometimes you can't reach them or you're calling and they can't really help you with information or versatile option choices or solutions. What I'm seeing or what I was seeing before I got into the industry were the complaints about the companies that the agents work for, the lack of product availability that the agents were able to bring, and basically the bias, behavior that the public was receiving from insurance agents. So as always, as you and I talk in the industries when I enter, no matter what industry it is, I'm always looking for ways to bring change, ways to increase the quality of people's lives. ways to bring justice to the industry, affordability, education that stops people from perishing. Because knowledge, we talked about how lack of knowledge causes people to perish. So when I entered the industry, I looked at the complaints of the people, the business owners, the senior citizens, the people like myself just coming out of college. I saw what they had. I looked at what they didn't know, what they didn't have access to, the complaints. And then I looked at the average agent. And as you asked me, in the first interview, how I started, I saw that my agent, when I would call and I started off buying real estate, that's how it all started.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that they didn't really understand anything that I was talking about when I was asking them about starting my investment portfolio. They were used to giving me homeowner quotes from their one company, and I was used to just accepting what they gave me. And because I was new, I was, fresh out of college, I know that they were so-called a big company. I saw them on all the marketing. My mother even used them and my dad. So I'm like, hey, and then I also noticed that some of my friends couldn't go there. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I start buying more property, and then I start saying, hey, give me a quote, please, the same as I did for my houses, I start seeing that they were having trouble. And this is still answering your insurance agent question. So I start realizing, well, why are you guys having trouble? Well, that zip code is not really favorable to the underwriters. That was some pushback that I was getting on some properties that I was purchasing. When I went and bought my car, I bought a luxury car. And again, I'm shopping with my insurance agent. And they're going to their one company that they're biased for, that they work for. But I thought that they work for me though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay.
they work for me when they're selling me something. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they really work for who they work for. So
Mm-hmm.
then when I went and got my luxury car at 20, 22 years old, I saw they had a problem there too. But I noticed that my mother didn't have the same problem that I was having. Of course, she's a woman and she's older. She doesn't have many accidents. Maybe at that time I probably had one. But then I noticed, wait a minute, you guys seem to be having trouble. And then you gave me this premium that was a little higher than it was on my first car. Oh, because I'm on my mom's policy. Now I'm not on there anymore. Oh, wow, it's kind of high. So then I learned, okay, I think I need to see if somebody else can find me a better price.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them as they're presenting it to me, can you find me a better price? Well, we'll see if we can wiggle around some things on the policy. And then they'll, maybe drop it of maybe $50 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still them. It's still their company.
Right.
So still answering your difference in what I do between the average insurance agent question, as I was educating myself on my own business, building my real estate portfolio, buying my luxury car, seeing that they had a problem because it had a sunroof and it was a fast car and it had a fast engine and my age. And then I said, okay, let me see if there's another carrier around. But then now that took me probably maybe about an hour to find the next carrier. But
Mm-hmm.
then when I found out that they were high also, in my opinion, now I'm like, wait a minute. Are there any other places that can give me some coverage? So I started thinking about that. And then I found the answer. And the answer was definitely yes. There's many carriers that will love to give you some business and
Mm-hmm.
they will love to give you a competitive quote. So when I realized that, I shopped for myself. I started off with my investment properties in my car. So I started insuring my vacant buildings as I was buying them, my vacant houses that had no toilets, that barely had a door on them. And I started insuring those. And I couldn't take it to the so-called what everybody think is the big company that they see advertising so much. I couldn't take that stuff to them. They were
Mm-hmm.
saying, well, you have to get a tenant inside of it. We don't do vacant property insurance.
Mm-hmm.
We will help you with the car, but we're gonna have a hard time bundling it now as you're used to. So I just started seeing that they were having some hard times with certain things. Then I started buying more property. Then I started buying more homes. Then I started buying condos. Then I started seeing there was a difference between the condo policy and the homeowner's policy. Then I started understanding when my friends started having children that they were needing real health insurance now because they were making families with their spouses. And then
Mm-hmm.
I started seeing that they only knew about maybe one or two companies that popped up on their television screen. And then I started saying, you know what? I could do this. I can not only help myself because I already know that I have found about 5 or 6 different companies by that time. And now by that time, it might have been 2 or 3 weeks. It took me to find these 6 companies.
Mm-hmm.
So these things start really coming into my head. Like, you know what? It took me a while to get this information. And I really helped myself save a lot of money, by the way, because I was able to drop my mortgage because my mortgage is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So I was able
Mm-hmm.
to drop my mortgage tremendously by getting a great property insurance. So
Right.
then I started realizing that I was fulfilling a need and solving some solutions, not only for myself, but for others. So then I started my company, of course, and then I started getting all these companies. And that's the difference between an agent and what I do. Because if I didn't lose them on the story, I just wanted to tell the story so that they would see the difference in shopping, the difference in you going to that one person that works for their carrier and then they do nothing but adjust the policy, but they don't ever tell you about the competitors' costs.
Mm-hmm.
If you can save money, that's why I told the story. So then I brought the many different carriers in, and now I have over maybe 60 different relationships. So when you go to your carrier that you think is so big, most likely I have the nation's largest insurance carrier. Most likely, if you're going to travel and you have travel insurance, I can shop for you travel insurance if you're traveling different states or if you're traveling different countries, and that's different carriers. But if you go to your agent, they're going to check with what their boss says and what their company offers. And I think I kind of mentioned last interview that some people have you going to McDonald's and you're looking for a pizza. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they don't offer pizza, they make you feel that pizza just doesn't exist because they don't offer any. So I
Right.
show people the buffet style of insurance, and that's the difference between an insurance agent and insurance advocate. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, when you have a claim, when you wreck your car, when someone hits you or you hit them, now you see who your agent works for. Do they
Mm-hmm.
even answer the phone? Can you find them? A lot of my clients, I work for, I have relationships with a lot of the nation's biggest carriers and smallest carriers. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people can't find their agent and they find my company and they call me asking me questions about their policy because I am a representative at many companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to help them with their questions, their answers, their solutions, their challenges, and their gaps that they have in their knowledge and in their product offerings. And then if they don't have it at that company and I represent the company that they have on their policy, if they have a gap that that company doesn't represent or have a product for, or that zip code or that demographic or that income level or that business owner, that family scenario, I not only can help them with the company that they're still at, but I can also take them and offer them other products that the competitors that I represent and their agent could never do that. Their agent
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't
Okay,
want
so
about the competitors.
what I'm hearing from you is that um, you are able to give people more options because you have access to multiple companies and try to give them the best option based on their particular situation versus just having that one company, like you said, whether it's a large, well-known company or a smaller company, you have a lot of various options for your clients to choose from. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, how would you start with working with your clients to help them select the best, let's say for health insurance, right? Because we know health insurance is a major thing that a lot of people do not have.
Yes.
So, how do you help your clients to select the best health insurance? What do you do?
Well, I ask them their needs. Sometimes they're calling me telling me their wants, and sometimes they're calling me telling me their needs. And when they tell me their needs, I'm able to look at a array of different options, carriers, coverage. Sometimes the need starts at a budget. If that's where we're starting at, my first question is, what is your budget? They tell me their budget. When they tell me their budget, I'm now again going back to your initial question, just so we always sticking back to that. I'm then showing them a holistic product portfolio that fits them as if they're a car insurance
Mm-hmm.
client.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, they love their car, but I by the data that I present to them, I present to them data that shows that they love their car more than themselves. And the reason is because most of the people that I have ever seen in America, they have full coverage car insurance, but they never have full coverage body and family insurance.
Well,
They
we
have
mean you
liability.
know that's why the reason behind that is because it's required by law to have certain types of coverage on your car, right? So if you buy a brand new car, then you're required to have certain amount of coverage. And if you're going to choose between your car, which is mandatory by law, versus health insurance, is an option for some people because they can't afford it. So they don't look at it as the priority like you're saying.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And my example is showing that you could get liability coverage on your car.
Hmm.
You don't have to get
Yeah,
full coverage, right?
that's true.
Unless you're driving it off the lot, right?
Right. Right. So that's why I was like, there's a certain amount of coverage that is required by law. There's not a certain amount, for car insurance, there's a certain amount of coverage required by law. Health insurance is not a requirement per se by law. It's not a requirement.
Right.
Mhm.
So with my example, I get their budget and then I show them a portfolio for full coverage for their body.
Mhm.
Because some people, they might have a great job with great benefits, they still have liability coverage unless they have an advocate. And like you said, you're a federal employee and a retired ex great federal employee, and
Mhm.
you know that you have good benefits, but you also have explained the many different gaps. So now, if you have gaps, that means that you could possibly have liability coverage on your body, but you know you have full coverage on your car. So that's what I do. I put together a full package product for the business owner, for the individual, for the senior citizen, for the
Mhm.
individual, for the college student, because sometimes parents are calling me and I'm insuring their athlete child. I'm insuring teams. I'm helping teams and coaches protect themselves from injuries and expense reduction out of the parents and the coaches in the school's pockets by saving their money in that way.
Mhm.
Then you might have your great package and you think you're covered fully because you have great insurance from your great job. But I'm usually able to show people many different gaps that they might have if they got sick, injured, disabled permanently or temporarily, if they died or almost died, or if they lost someone, whether it be a child,
Mhm.
a parent, or a spouse. I'm usually able to show people different gaps that they might have and to assist them with becoming like their car and
Mhm.
having full coverage on their body
Right.
like they have on their car, you know?
Right. So you mentioned a great point, and I'm glad we're kind of pivoting in this direction. Federal employees. I told you when we met, I have a lot of them that are listening in, either now live or on the recordings.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that federal employees have that and is was said, from years ago, you have a good government job with good benefits, right? That so um, the benefits as a federal employee, people are going to look at costs, and we talked about that, right? The cost versus the price,
Yes.
and the price is normally the premium that they pay. They're going to look at the premium first,
Yes.
normally not looking at, like,
The cost.
what's the cost, what's the out of pocket that I'm gonna have to pay because I choose a coverage that the price has a lower premium. They,
Definitely.
they may not look at that
Definitely.
because it's about the dollar, especially a new employee, somebody's just starting out. How do you make sure that when you are talking to um, someone who's just starting in the workforce and having them, looking at filling those gaps versus going back, say, hey, go back to your company and seeing if they offer something that can fill the gaps. Like, I know it's your business, but I mean, just so they could understand, because there are some benefits that an employee might miss out on, whether they're federal, state, local, or at a private company, if they don't have their health insurance during, their employment. So tell me, like, how do you work with an employee to just make sure that they fill their gaps? Are you providing supplemental coverage, or do you try to just do, like, say, hey, cancel what you have because this is better? How do you do that?
It depends. Sometimes, most of the time, I'm working with the employee's boss. So HR calls me in, and I'm able to bring the insurance plaza's many packages and policies to show the boss. Sometimes the boss tells me to present two or three, or sometimes they say present whatever the employees see is most beneficial to them. And then
Mm-hmm.
each employee, I am able to show them different scenario based things for them, their sales, their families. Some of them have businesses on the side. So I'm able to help them with their dental, their life, their health, their insurance costs as far as their disability plans. Also help them with their out of cost pocket reduction. Some people are having heart attacks. Some people are having strokes. Some people are having renal failure, kidney failure. I'm helping them with that. I recently helped a few families with some cancer treatments and some diagnosis, which also helped them to save money because when you go to the hospital and have to have a deductible, you're going to spend some of your savings account for the deductible and the out of pocket cost of the doctor and treatment. I was able to help a family basically reduce all of their costs and expenses that would have occurred if they didn't know me. When you're talking about if I don't have a connection with HR and I'm presenting to the whole company, presenting group plans to the small business owners as they help start their business or if they're already running a business, if I'm not their advocate coming in to present to the whole company as the insurance advocate for the small business or the large business, then if I'm just working with the employee might have a carrier that I already have at my company at the insurance plaza. So what I do is I just become their agent. And now when I'm the agent for them, they could call me. I send them a piece of paper, they fill it out, and now we're their agent for the same company that they have. If we don't have that company, or if we have a company or a benefit that's better than what they have already, then they sign up for the benefits that we offer that is, better or more favorable than what they already have. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times I'm seeing that people are not being educated, and I'm always going back to where you started at when you asked me that question of what's the difference between an agent and me, an advocate, someone who has real options and real service. Now, when the employee needs somebody to help them, to shop for them, they have to work between 9 and 5. Remember, I told you it took me like 2 weeks just to find those 6 companies. That's when I first started. Now, of course, I found way more companies than that, but that was when I first started just looking for myself personally because I bought a lot of property at that time. And I wasn't an agent. I had to start my company. But a person that's at work 9 to 5, they getting up at 7 o'clock to get dressed. I lived with somebody who showed me how to get up and go to work, and they had to get up and get prepared and take it serious and go to sleep, and like some things I've never had to do. I have to get up every day, but it's kind of different. So
Mhm.
now you have to drive to work, and now you have to go to work, and like, are you going to take your lunch break to shop for all these things and answer all these questions and wait on hold, and then get the person that doesn't want to do their job or just say anything just to get you off the phone, and now you realize you didn't get nothing accomplished, you didn't even eat lunch. Now you got to go back to work. Now you drive home. Now you don't even feel like being on the phone anymore. Like, I just was at work. Like, I don't know, are you turning on the radio, or are you just enjoying the scenery as you drive home? Now you get home, now you want to eat. You don't want to make another phone call, probably. That's what I'm here for. Your agent's just not doing that. That's how I get a lot of customers all across America, because the agent is off work just like you are. They work 9 to 5 like you did. They have one boss and a few products, limited options, and they don't want to help you like that. They did their job, they feel, when they sold you that product, and now it's like extra work to do some work. So I just put in real capabilities and technology and staff that's always on email. I have technology team and secretaries that's always on email. So you might have a question like, hey, you know what? They didn't take care of my claim. I wrecked my car, and these people not hurt servicing me. See,
Mhm.
when you have me, I'm not on the phone or responding back when you finally get me saying, well, we're A+ rated, and I think you might be liable. We've been here for 100 years, and just hang in there with us. I know that they didn't take care of your car, and no, me, I'm trying to help you to handle the company. I work for you. I don't work for the company. I sold you.
Okay, and that's that. Now that right there, what you said to me, is important. That you are not working for the company; you're working for your client. So you're going to work to help your client the best they can in the
And I
best
could
way
take you
you
to
can.
many carriers, many different carriers. So I'm not biased. Like, I'm not like, I work here. So this is the health plan you need. This is the dental plan you need. This one right here pays me more, so you'll never know about this one. I present to you what you said. Your budget might not be here, so why am I pushing this? But you can afford $20 for a dental plan. You can afford $79 a month for a health insurance plan. But when you're with your agent and they're at that one company, they have a quota to meet from Boss Them, and they have the fantastic commercials, how they love everybody and they smiling and they just love everybody in the community. But I see that these companies leave your state when you really needed something in the economic turmoil. I saw that when the wildfires came, when I was walking around 5 years ago, those companies left when your house was burning down in your neighborhood. But
Mhm.
those agents were just so happy, and they just are so pleasant, and they just love your family so much when they're selling
Right.
something to you. But you can't
Right.
find them when you really need something. So that's what we present differently than what they do. We work for you and not the quota and the boss and what they told us to say on the sales script.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, like, how do you make sure those things don't happen to your clients? You mentioned just about a real life scenario when they had the wildfires. How do you make sure that someone that you have insured, or let me change the scenario. What if one of those persons who was affected by the wildfires, whose company left, comes to you and say, I don't have anything. I'm looking for insurance. Now, how would you help them? Because now they don't have anything. They still need the insurance because they are building a house, they're getting another house, or they might need health insurance, whatever the case may be. But they are in now what's called a risk area, right? There because of what happened, and
Mhm.
it's a natural disaster. So, how is it that you're going to be better than what? Well, we know what they had is not what any good, but how are you going to make sure that your clients, this a potential client, is going to feel comfortable and safe, that that same thing is not going to happen to them again?
Well, the agents here, we have different coverages depending on the different cities and states. And as you also asked me on the interview number one that we did, I do a lot of research and I hire people that believe in the company culture here. And the company culture is increasing the quality of lives as many people as possible. We're here to make some money because we have to take care of ourselves, and you know we have to be okay ourselves. So we have to make some money, of course, to stay in business. But I found that starting off and to now, I get joy out of helping other people get solutions, information, bridges to gaps, and resources and research that they didn't have and didn't know about. Some people have been insuring things longer than I've been born. And then they meet me and I say a few things and show them some things, and I could just see it in their face like they had no idea. And it's like you've been insuring this car, you've been insuring this building, you've been building homes for as long as I've been born, and you didn't know this? No one told you this? And you'd be surprised in every industry that I'm in, whether it's real estate, mortgage, or insurance. There's just a lot of things people don't know. So how I help the customers differently is like when I'm in Oregon, when I'm in California. Like I said, I was in California before the pandemic and before the wildfires, informing people of value, trying to align myself with different professionals, real estate agents, attorneys. I'm a part of a huge network with not for profits, and I volunteer, as I told you guys in the first video. I volunteer my services with not for profits, with organizations that hold workshops, in person workshops, and online workshops. And I've been doing this for over a decade. So now I have a team of attorneys that work with me, accountants that work with me in your state, wherever you're looking at, and in
Mhm.
your country, wherever you're looking at. And we work together to do research. And again, going back to your first question, the difference between me and an insurance agent, the insurance agent is researching the products that their company has.
Mhm.
I'm researching the market of insurance or whatever we're discussing and how it's going to impact the customer. And I don't work for a company, I work for about 70 companies. And the funny thing is, I'm going to get somebody that's going to help me produce some things. You guys remember in Living Color? I'm
Mhm.
the guy that's on the Living Color when they used to be like, man, what are you doing today, man? How many jobs you have, mine? And he'd be like, I have 10 jobs today, mine. So that's how I try to bring it
Okay.
to the insurance,
Mhm.
because you need auto today. Okay, well, I have 10 different quotes for you. Your carrier just left Texas, your carrier just left Oregon, your carrier just left California, your carrier just left Florida. Some of
Mhm.
these states have the same carriers leaving. So I was just sitting back thinking, how would I be able to service these people if they had all these challenges? So before the wildfires, I was walking around trying to find professionals that understood and respected value, and
Mhm.
customers in the community and business owners that respected value. And when I say value, I mean, hey, you have this one company, but I heard that they don't like your claims. I heard that they are now sending drones over your roof trying to deny you. Is that value to you? And you've given them your business for 25 years. You've been giving them your business longer than I've been born. Now, is that value that they're treating you like this, or is it valuable for you to have a young man that you know that you can trust and you can give him your business and he can trust you with it? Because I know that there's some people out there that don't have that value.
I'm not sure if he's frozen for everyone, but he is frozen on my side. If you can't hear him, or if you can't hear me, then type into the comments whether or not you can hear.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
We okay. There we go. Yep, there we go. So yeah, what I was saying is I helped them with seeing, okay, so what do you need in California? What do you need in Oregon? What do you need in Florida? You just had a hurricane, you just had a wildfire, you just had a earthquake, you just had a wildfire also in Oregon. So now they say what they need. Did your company leave? Do you need a higher dwelling cost? So now when I say the value part, I just lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Well, let's pivot a little bit, and we might have to end this early because I see that there's some technical issues going on. Not sure if it's on my side or on yours, but I wanted to talk a little bit about AI and how that might play into people getting their insurance. or
Okay.
getting information about
Okay.
insurance. Okay.
Yes.
So
So with the
I don't know if you
wildfire, yeah,
heard.
with
Yeah.
like the wildfire insurance, like with the wildfire insurance, the way I'm helping them is if they have one carrier leaving their county, now they
Mhm.
have to be put on forced state place plan. The state place plan might be too high for them. So now they come to my carrier, they come to my company, and my agents or myself shop for them many different coverages. They might be a landlord that has a vacancy or a tenant. They might be a homeowner with a dwelling on an ocean, or if they're not in California or Oregon, they might be in Florida. They might have hurricane and have wind problems. So now I'm seeing what carrier do you have? Did they leave? Are they
Mhm.
non-renewing you? Did you have
Mhm.
a lapse in coverage because they canceled you because they left? And that's why you can't get coverage. And then I take you either to my non-renewed coverage carriers or my loss carriers because you've had a loss and you having problems, or I take you to my forced place carriers because you have forced place insurance, so I can assist you with removing yourself from the forced place state or mortgage plans. So it's really a lot, but I bring a lot of different variety and variables to assist them whatever it is. But the research is really what helps because I was there before the wildfires. That's what's key. I was asking people questions about wildfire insurance for a reason because I was researching the data. And I was
Mhm.
before the wildfires. That's why I always say when I get the right producer, they'll see that I was on video saying some things before it even occurred. The
So yeah.
hurricanes.
So let me ask you this. I want to pivot a little bit and go to what a lot of people use now is AI, right? People will go online. They'll either we say they'll Google, but they'll ask um, AI their questions. What's the best health insurance? And this, if they want deep questions, if they want more detailed information, they might use AI to give them the names of different companies and what's the rates, what different things. How would working with you be beneficial or more beneficial than what they're doing by using AI?
Well, again, they're trusting a computer and it's kind of lazy. They're again trusting a salesperson because the AI is telling them about something. They're still wasting their time researching, and that's not really research. They're just getting a data programming code sent to them. So, what do they know yet? Do they have a license on the computer? So now they still have to call someone. They're still going to be on hold, or will the person answer the phone? And then is this person or this company going to have 50 different carriers? Are they going to have their best interest? So it's still Google, it's still AI, it's still a computer. I just didn't build wealth depending on computers. I just didn't build wealth taking the least price method. I like to pay a higher cost instead of looking at price. I know that sometimes the fast way or what everyone else is doing, sometimes that's definitely not the way that is going to bring me the best results doing what everyone else is doing. So working with a human being, getting educated, that's how I build wealth in my life. And then I use protect insurance to protect it. I show people how to build banks so that they don't even have to go to a car dealer and get a loan. I show people how they can buy homes and buildings using policies that are not mortgages, that are risk protection. But
Mhm.
if they're thinking that it's smart or intelligent to get that type of high level information from an AI computer, I welcome them to do it, but I wouldn't trust it. That's not how I built my wealth. And when I need someone to call, I don't want to look at AI. I want to have a human being that I know has passion for what if it's talking about me or my team, or if it's she, I think that they deserve a he or she that takes them seriously, that heard what they said, and that's thinking, and that is using scenario based techniques and many different companies and research tools, passion, empathy to assist them. AI couldn't have said that Rashad has some insights because he travels the country. He also seen what happened last summer. And you guys think that these big companies are so valuable, but soon they're gonna leave the state or raise your prices because of what this data is showing Rashad. And
Mm-hmm.
you already trust these big companies so much anyway, and it seems like you didn't notice that they've been raising your price every year ever since Rashad's been an adult. So here's some other options before the wildfire and the hurricane and the tornado. I don't know if AI is doing that. If it is, then show me, because I got videos showing that I was walking the neighborhoods in Compton at the basketball tournaments the last 3 summers, and in San Diego before the wildfires came. I could show that I was in Florida before the hurricanes came. I could show that I go to my international carriers and my international expatriates that live in another country and bring them tailor-made solutions as they
Mm-hmm.
travel other countries. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think AI can do that and think ahead of time like that.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, we know that's here. AI is here, and so it's just an option that people. It's a tool, right? We want to make sure that people understand that use AI as a tool. It's not the end all be all. It should not be the final say in anyone's decision making. It should be a tool to help educate, just like one
Yes,
of the things that you were saying that you help to educate.
yes,
So one of the things that I thought about also is within our community, within the African American community, they don't like to talk about life insurance. They don't like to talk about planning for their death with burial insurance or anything. I don't know if they feel it's bad luck on them or whatever it is. How do you break that barrier to make sure that people aren't using GoFundMe even, and I understand GoFundMe sometimes is necessary for certain situations, but how do you make sure that you're breaking those barriers and overcoming those barriers with people who are just like, I am good. I don't want to talk about life insurance.
uh it's an interesting question. Well, when I first started, I guess I was trying to break barriers. I don't try to do that anymore. um I see that what you said is true, and it's interesting to me. um I'm also still learning in life. I'm very naive to a lot of things, even to this day. And I didn't know that so many people really could care less about themselves or other people. That's my honest answer. So I don't try to persuade people anymore to think the best of themselves for themselves and for their family. I've heard people tell me that they could care less about their children, and um, it's been real interesting that they told me that. But as an advocate and there to do my job, I have to just move on. I'm blessed and thankful that I have my mom and dad, and they didn't say nothing like that. They're still here, but they set me up great. And I don't even want anything. I mean, how do I say that? I'm making myself successful. I don't want to wait for my parents to be gone to have a lot of money, but
Mhm.
they set me up straight. But I like to tell people that life insurance is for the living. I just mentioned about 5 minutes ago in this interview that I bought houses with certain policies. I bought cars. No one left the planet. It wasn't my mother or dad left and then used one of their other lives and came back. Like, no
Mhm.
one left, and it wasn't their policy. It was my policy that I gave to myself. I show people how to build banks. So when I present things, and I'm from the murder capital of America. So when I'm meeting people, like I said, when I first started, I thought that I was going to be able to actually bring more changes to certain zip codes, not just in where I'm from, but all across America. But I had to
Mhm.
take a step back and just focus on human beings. because some people are going to be stuck in their ways, and it's no persuading them. So I don't try. I don't try. I let them know that I have plans for the living. GoFundMe is not the best option, and that basically they could really take care of their family, their legacy. Starting with 50 cents a day, I could show them how to really make an impact for their children, their grandchildren, even themselves. Sometimes they're not dying, and I could show them how to use their policies while they're living, but they can't use something that they didn't purchase or they didn't invest in. And also, this is if I going towards the line of thinking that you said persuading, you didn't say that word though, but like how do I like push them kind of that's how I kind of took that question. I just kind of like say things like, like if you make this small investment, sometimes that helps me to help them because they're
Mhm.
talking about how much does it cost. If we're talking about, it sounds like a certain crowd that you're speaking about. Um, they want to know how much things cost. And I'm always reminding them repeatedly that this is not a cost. This is an investment. You're doing something for yourself. I'm not selling you anything right now. This is an
Right.
investment.
So you made a great point. That for one, I want to thank you for saying how you interpreted what I said,
Yes.
because as the fact why I said trying to break barriers, because breaking barriers could mean persuading someone in this case. It could mean educating them, which it sounds like you tried to do, and trying to teach them that it's not for it's not necessarily for those who come after you, who might be living, those beneficiaries. It could be used while they're still living if they are educated and understand the various options that are available for them. And I think that's the biggest thing, being making sure that is educating and showing how there are other cultures, there are other ethnicities, races that are using these same tools, these same options, and building legacies. Not necessarily like wealth, because wealth is different for everybody, but
Yes.
building a legacy where they could have something for their children's children's children to look back and say that my great grandmother, my great grandfather had this set up. So now we have something to continue on. Doesn't mean that they're going to be rich, because again, rich is based on the person that they see how that is. So, just I want to thank you for saying those things that you did say, because it is very important that we are educating and starting to educate them young. Like by the time they are, in their late years, they're going to be looking at, I'm dying, and probably you're going to hear a lot more of those comments, like you said. I don't care. They're going to have. I've heard those comments too. I want to leave just enough for them to bury me,
Yeah, and that's and
or
that's
you
why it
know.
makes me thankful. And I'll just say this: a key to success, just as a businessman,
Hmm.
one of my keys to success is always meditating on the success of others.
Hmm.
So when I hear that, also being grateful and thankful. So when I hear somebody say something like that, it just makes me more thankful for my parents. It has nothing to do with business, but if I wasn't thankful and grateful and willing to pay it forward like it was paid forward to me by my parents in this business, if I was just out here like a shark or a snake, maybe I wouldn't be so blessed. But when I hear somebody say stuff like that, it just makes me just be thankful for my parents, like,
Hmm.
because that's just not good in my, but
Yeah.
that hey, I don't know, but I show people how to take care of themselves. And hey, you know what, okay, man, I don't have children, I don't have parents. Do Can this help me? Yeah, because you're gonna live, and I can show you how to build your own retirement account supplement.
Right.
So
So let's do this. We got about 10 minutes left for today's episode. And we may have to have you come back in a few more months to talk more about the services that you offer. But you said something um, several times is about building their own bank.
Yes.
And I want you to kind of just give us like a high level overview of what that really means. So when people are listening to this, they can come to you and say, okay, Rashad, I want you to tell me in more detail, how can I build my own bank? So what does that really mean? Just give us a high level because we know we don't have time for a whole detailed thing.
Well, basically, like I said, I start off with price versus cost and your budget. So I like to help you to renew your mind. Another key to success that's given to us from the ancient texts, renewing your mind. So once you renewed your mind and you know that I'm your advocate, now all the other stuff is out the window. Now you're ready to move forward. So now I help you to understand the difference between saving your money regularly, and most people aren't saving their money anyway. But some people that are saving their money, they're saving it regularly. Then I show you how to save money on a compound scale. And also, since we're mentioning that one word, I have many different products from one of my favorite people that's one of my mentors. And he has many different companies, and I definitely represent his companies because he taught me a lot about compound. So I show you how to start a compound. I show you how to take this compound and grow it like a snowball. So now when you're taking a snowball and you start off little and you start rolling it, eventually it gets big, but it takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes some effort, and it takes you to put money on top of it. Just a little bit, depending on how old you are. But now it starts growing. Now you can invest in that. You can take that out tax free. You can take that and go buy something. You can go buy a car. You can go buy a house. You can go fund your education, your children's education. You can use it for a funeral if someone leaves the planet, leaves the earth. So these things are in place that I show you how to not only build on interest, build on what you have, but it's also protected against a loss. So I could show you many times recently, as far recent as 2020, when we were in the pandemic, the market had one of the biggest crashes that it had since 2007 at that point in time. I was showing on my private webinars and in my one-on-one consultation screenshots. And I said, look at what they lost today in the market. And the market was losing like 300, 400 points. And I said, so do you guys want to know how much my clients lost? And then my clients lost nothing. So that's another benefit, because now you're taking advantage of the index, you're taking advantage of the stock market without investing in the stock market, meaning you're taking advantage of the gain, but not taking advantage of the losses like the average American is. That's
Right.
another benefit.
Right. So let's take a moment right here, and I want you to share how people can learn more about you. I know you have it on the screen, but if you could just tell people how they can get in touch with you and learn how they can also build their own bank, start a legacy for their family, how can they learn that from you?
Well, you can find me personally at therashadsolution.com. I have an appointment setter on there. I have links to the different industries that I'm involved in as a licensed professional in multiple states. And you can find out what I do internationally. I have consultations for international clients and consumers all across America. I also have a special service for foreign nationals and people with ITNs. You can see all of that on www.therashadsolution.com, www.therashadsolution.com, and you spell my name Rashad. That's TheRashadSolution.com, therashadsolution.com. That's how you find me. You can schedule appointments. I have a secretary. I'm in multiple states. I have satellite offices. I'm a multi-state mortgage professional, a branch manager for mortgage companies all across America, and an insurance territory manager for the Insurance Plaza. And you can find me at theinsuranceplaza.org, theinsuranceplaza.org. If you want a quote for insurance, whether it's Medicare, life insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, health insurance, property insurance, if you need your business insured, general liability, workers' compensation, if you need a permit pulled, if you need liquor liability coverage, if you need a quote for anything insurance, we have one of the largest portfolios of insurance carriers from coast to coast and internationally. You can request a quote on the phone at 888-449-4977. That's toll free, coast to coast and internationally, toll free, 888-449-4977. Or you can go to www.theinsurancplaza.org and you can shop for anything insurance. We have some of the nation's largest insurance carriers. We help people in other countries with their insurance when they're traveling. We help foreign nationals. We have restaurant insurance. We have commercial insurance. We have health insurance from many different carriers. And if you're getting laid off, this is a big time in history right now for layoffs. Um, if you're getting laid off, I have ulterior alternative layoff insurance. Many of you will be pushed to Cobra insurance. I study and research the challenges that people have so I can be a great resource to them. So I cannot be just a salesperson selling what one company offers. When you're fired or laid off, they push you to Cobra. It's double what you have right now if you have health insurance. I have alternative to Cobra and it's lower than what you're paying now. If you get laid off or fired, give me a call or give the Insurance Plaza a call or schedule an appointment on one of my websites, and I can assist you save money on your layoff or getting fired by avoiding Cobra insurance. And I also sell Cobra, but I have things that are more affordable.
Okay, all right. Well, we're definitely going to have to go to your website and check out all the great information that you have there so people can know, when they talk to you specifically, what they want to talk about. Because I'm already in my head about some insurance that I know that I'm going to need in a few months. So I'm going to have to go to the insuranceplaza.org and see what is listed there that I might be able to utilize. And that about the Cobra, you are correct. It is extremely expensive, and so maybe on another time you can come back and talk about those types of insurances. So I know we are almost out of time, and just before we go, Rashad, I want you to just give like a few final thoughts on going back to my first question, having an insurance broker.
Yeah, yeah. It's really good that you hire someone like me. Sorry for saying it like that, but hey, it's just the truth. If this circle right here was an insurance agent versus me, I challenge you to get us on the live and ask them what they offer versus what I offer, and you see the difference. They're gonna tell you that they work for one carrier. They're gonna say something about their A+ rating and they've been around 100 years, and then look them up and see that they even worked there 5 years ago. So when your claim happens, they'll be at the next insurance carrier. So here we have basically most of the insurance carriers all across the nation and in other countries. When you go to your travel vacation or when you have your business policy need in another state, when you have your dental policy implant need because you're a senior, when you traveled for business or when you leave the country or when you cross territory lines for your PPO, I have policy to help you save money even if you left the state or the country. I have travel policies that help you to live in another country. I can show you how to insure your new business and set your new business up to have tax savings and to avoid the cost of doing business by having huge write offs, by giving your employees fantastic cost saving group plans. I have a fantastic relationship with a great not for profit that has us working all across the country in free education and workshop programs. And I've been bringing in lawyers and accountants to help me with the insurance advisory and the full financial advisory for my senior citizens, for my college grads, and for my business owners to not only receive coverage information, guidance, and research and profitability and cost savings in insurance, but also to receive full service, holistic service in insurance for their home, for their retirement, for their assisted living situation, for their business structuring, for their lawsuit protection with my accountant and law team also. So all of these things come together with insurance, whether people know it or not. And when I'm able to help them to shop and save them time so that they can get back to what they're doing or what they love to do, they don't have to be sitting on the phone. They can just receive emails and calls from us, licensed professionals that did the work, did the research, did the shopping, did the calling the underwriters and the claims, yelling at them if we need to, because we work for our customers, not sugarcoating things, starting to hide behind the curtains, whispering with the underwriters, hurting the customers. We don't do that.
Well,
So
that's
now you
great.
have
That's
someone
great.
that's going to fight for you and call these companies for you
Right.
and deliver for you while you're at work.
Well, thank you so much, Rashad, for those final words. And we again, I appreciate you taking the time out today and being with us again. And we'll have to look at some other time in the near future for you to come back and give us some more information. So thanks everyone for who's listening live, for being here. Thank those of you that are listening to the recording, and you all have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.